Have you ever wondered or noticed that when men enter a relationship, most of those men become a beta? Yeah, it's bad. For example, many men will say things like, "Oh, I'm so lucky to have her," or "happy wife, happy life." And the woman basically rules over them and is the actual leader, and they are the beta. Well, in this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 reasons why most men that enter a relationship and a marriage become a beta, and how to not become a beta yourself. All right. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kane. I'm the Silver Bachelor. This channel is 100% dedicated to dating advice for older guys and the women that want to understand them. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification button because I'm dropping videos every week. Whoa! All right, let's get into this. So, I was married for 20 years, and I will confess and admit that I became a beta. At the end, I hated myself for becoming that way. Most men in a relationship become a damn doormat, and it's just a common thing, right? And whether it's a relationship, a marriage, and men lose their masculine frame, they lose their essence of masculinity. And a lot of people are not asking why. Why is this not happening? Well, in this video, like I said, I'm going to go over the 3 reasons why this happens. And it took me at least 2 years after being separated from my then wife and divorced for me to kind of rewire my brain to not get into this mode ever again and become a beta. So let's get into this video. Number one, why most men become betas once they enter a relationship is because they make her the priority. All right. And betas make women the priority. Alphas make themselves the priority. And they might start off as an alpha, but once they're in the relationship, they start becoming betatized and they start making her the priority. Here's a couple examples. Well, one example is when I was in my marriage that I was the breadwinner, I was the career person, and my wife, then ex-wife, didn't want to move anywhere. Maybe you're in that situation, you're in a relationship and you're thinking of moving because there's less career opportunities in your city, and the woman you're with is like, "Nah, I don't want to move. Nah, I don't like that city, whatever." Well, you know what? Make yourself the priority. Choose the career for you, because I will quote one of my best friends, what he told me at the end of my marriage. And I asked him, what should I do about, because I had this job and the job wanted me to move to Atlanta from Canada. And my ex-wife didn't want to move. And my best friend, this is what he told me. He said, "Well, brother, it's easier to find another wife than a job like that." Ouch. Ooh, yeah. Guys, you need brothers in your circle, close brothers that will tell you straight. And he told me straight, and I realized, yep, I need to choose the job over the wife, and I need to move. And this is what happens in a lot of relationships is you guys start to, bend over essentially to her demands and her wishes, because you start believing this bullshit around happy wife, happy life, or I need to make her happy, okay? Or for example, it's your house. Imagine this, it's your house and she's moving in with you. And now she's saying she doesn't like the colors of your cushions. She doesn't like your couch. She doesn't like the art on your wall. Any of this bullshit. Well, you need to have this discussion before she moves in. And even when she's there, you need to say, "Hey, look, we need to talk about this. This is what I like, and you need to be okay with it." Women want this alpha in the relationship. They do. They might complain about it, but at the end of the day, they like a strong man who holds to his opinions, who holds to his preferences, and says, "No, this is the way I like it, and I'm not changing." Okay? So that's number one, is men become betas in relationships because they make her the priority and not themselves. Number two is they compromise on their own needs. So, for example, I am taking a lot of natural supplements to increase my testosterone. In 2026, because the time of recording this video, it's 2026, it's the new year, and I'm thinking of, or I've been researching testosterone treatments, maybe. I have to get my blood test and check everything out and do a little bit more research. But at the end of the day, the key supplement that I'm taking to increase my libido and increase my testosterone is beef testicles. That's right, powdered form beef testicles. Now I'm also taking DIM, which is an estrogen blocker to help your body not convert so much testosterone into estrogen. But anyways, that aside, my hormones are higher than normal. And if I'm dating somebody, I now have to have this conversation with them and say, hey, by the way, my sex drive is maybe a little higher than normal for my age. By the way, excuse the sirens if you hear the sirens. I'm on a busy street here in Atlanta, and every single time I record these videos, sirens come by the street. But let's keep going. So I have to have this conversation with the women that I'm dating and like, look, I have a higher than maybe average sex drive for my age, and hopefully you're okay with that, okay? So that's in terms of compromising on your needs. I'm not going to compromise on the fact that I need a release. If I'm dating somebody, we need to get it on at least every other day, okay? Minimum, pretty much every other day. So she needs to be cool with that. Another thing is, in terms of my needs, is I have this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel, I put in at least minimum 10 to probably 20 hours a week into this YouTube channel. I also DJ on the side, and I also ride a hyper scooter, and I enjoy my time to myself, and the women that I date need to be totally cool with that. And if they're not, then it's like, bye-bye. So this is another thing that happens with men when they start getting into a relationship. It's just they're compromising on themselves and their needs. Therefore, they start to become a beta. All right. Because alphas don't, I'm not saying alphas have to do this and this and this, but at the perception of beta or alpha, and you always want her to have the perception of you as an alpha. You may not be an alpha, but she's perceiving you that way. That's the point I'm trying to make. And last, number 3 is betatization through 1,000 concessions. And I'm quoting Richard Cooper from Entrepreneurs in Cars, fellow Canadian and also YouTuber. So in his book, The Unplugged Alpha, he talks about this, betatization through 1,000 concessions. And what does this mean? I'm going to give you some examples. So my current girlfriend, all right, at one point, and this was a few months ago, I wear red socks, not all the time, but the company I work for, the brand, it's a red brand. It's an Italian company. So I like to rock red here and there. And I've got these red socks that I sometimes wear. And it turns out she hates the red socks. She didn't say she hates the red socks, but one time she's like, oh, you're wearing those socks? And I said, yes, because I was wearing a suit and I rocked the red socks with the suit. And she's like, oh, you want to wear another color? And I looked at her, I said, no, I like my red socks. That's it. Conversation over. She never brought it up again. But a lot of men will change these little things when they start a relationship because they think it's going to make her happy. But she's actually happier when you hold your ground and say, well, no, I like these red socks. Another example. One time I was in a department store, Nordstrom, I think it was, and I'm looking at some shirts and I see this guy walk out of a change room, and it looked like he was there with his wife. I was just making assumptions. And he was all proud of the shirt that he had on. And I saw the shirt on the guy, and the shirt looked actually really good on him. The wife looks at him and says, take it off, it's too tight. And he basically puts his head down in shame like this, turns around, walks back to the change room. And worse, he comes out with the shirt, and the salesperson walks up to him and says, so what did you think of the shirt? And he says, oh, my wife told me that's too tight. I'm thinking, you fucking dumbass. What the hell? You choose the damn shirt because you like it. And if you like it, you say, no, I like it and I'm taking it, right? And worse, he tells the salesperson that my wife told me it's too tight, so I'm gonna exchange it or whatever. Like, so you can't make a damn decision for yourself, and you have to say my wife told me this. I'm just giving examples, okay? Another example is one time I was dating this person. Well, we didn't go on that many dates, but it was like maybe 8 dates or so in. And she says to me, she's like, I have a confession. I'm like, what's that? She's like, well, I don't like your baby voices. And I look at her, I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you say things like, and sometimes I do this and I don't care. Again, this is alpha behavior, right? Is you do what you fucking want to do. You wear what you want to wear. You say what you want to say, and you don't give a fuck. So sometimes I'll say like, oopsie doopsie. The reason why I say that, and this is a little embarrassing that I'm sharing this on YouTube, is because my best friend in Canada, he's got this thing with sending me Teletubby videos and shorts, and the Teletubbies used to say that all the time, oopsie doopsie. So now it's like part of my regular vocabulary, and sometimes I'm dating and something will happen and I'll say oopsie doopsie. So this girl, she didn't like my baby voices, and I ended it because I said to her, I said, look, I'm not going to change who I am. This is going to happen, and obviously this is a problem because I'm not going to walk on eggshells or thin ice just because you don't like something. So this isn't going to work. And bye. So another thing is, Canadians and Italians have a habit of saying sorry, right? I'm exaggerating my voice, but a lot of Canadians, they've got that kind of accent when they say sorry. So Canadians and Italians specifically say sorry a lot. And when you start a relationship, men fall into this trap. They don't even have to be Canadian or Italian, is they say sorry a lot. They say sorry this, sorry this, sorry that, sorry. And that's beta behavior. You don't want to do that. You don't want to say that, all right? So those are the three reasons why most men become a beta when they enter a relationship. But I want to hear from you guys what you think. Is there anything you would add? And most importantly, do you agree with these three things? All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.